So yay, we're all here. We're all sewing. I'm gonna give it a beat before I start into anything. Let you guys get logged on. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Okay, there I see people starting to come. Yay! We celebrated Memorial Day yesterday with our neighbors. It was so much fun. Dan doesn't like to use PayPal. I don't like to use PayPal either. And so when he restores cars, when he wants to use PayPal, he comes over and he uses ours. And of course, he pays us, but the fee is that he has to cook ribs for us. He is a unbelievable rib cooker. It takes all day long. There were 7 of us, and it started out at 2 in the afternoon with a complete pig out, okay? Hors d'oeuvres, hors d'oeuvres, hors d'oeuvres. It was wonderful. And then we went and they had a swimming pool and they filled it in. And then they put in a bocce court. So then it was pretty hot yesterday. It's going to be horrible today. So then we played bocce until the ribs were done. And then it was like a complete pig out. He does some wet, he does some dry. He even uses 2 different Webers, one to do the ribs, and then at the end, then he fires up another one to get the glazes right and all of that. So, oh man, it's like, don't get on the scale this morning. Oh, I did. it's, it's so good. Hey, I can still get my pants on. That's all I care. So I want to remind you that last time we went, we actually got to take some stuff home with us. That might have to be a caveat from here on out. So I want to remind you, because it is Memorial Day weekend, Kristen has put together a wonderful little contest. Enter to win prizes, of which one is Cindy Needham's little girl. And also we have opened up the Cindy Needham show for you, because you know how much I adore her and I adore her work. And also we have a $10 off joining membership. So it would be $39.95, I don't know, 39 something US dollars to join. So it's normally 49, and that's just, actually John's extending it through tomorrow. It was a Memorial Day thing, but he's extending it through tomorrow because we are worldwide, and my day today might be yours tomorrow, or you know how all that is. So just to give everybody a fair chance. And also there seems to be a lot of people traveling this weekend. So yay, thank you, John, for that. We all appreciate that big time. So yeah, Paul, I love the contest too, but you know what? I can't win. So I don't love them as much as you. Okie doke. I'm going to do, before we move on, this is Kyra Rep's quilt. And I believe it was in today's newsletter. And I don't make the newsletters. Okay, Mary Kay and her son do it. Lucas, I about had a heart attack when I opened this, and there's a close-up. And to me, it's a kind of Cindy Needham-esque. I mean, it is absolutely an exquisite, exquisite quilt. So, Kyra, congratulations. And you can be sure that quilt has picked up some ribbons too. Okay, it is 10:04. How many do we have? Oh, yeah, we got people here. And I know people will be watching this after the fact. So today, actually, we're going to do 2 things, all right? I'm going to talk about how I made the bias stems here. Okay, and that's easy or whatever, but then how in the world did I know how to place it on this quilt? That's a big deal, okay? And I'm a little nervous about that presentation. Gotta get this thing more on there. I'm a little bit nervous about that presentation because, number one, fortunately, I took some pictures. There is a madness to my technique. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? And hopefully I can help you figure out how to get those borders on if you've never done that before. All right. I said on Friday, I don't even know when we did this last. that I would sew on these borders before I put the stems on. I kind of lied. I kind of lied. So what I told you to do and what I did are two different things, but it will still work. I kind of lied. If you're behind, consider yourself lucky right now. Okay, so this fabric that we're working with Andover is a woven, and like oak shots, they kind of have a mind of their own. All right, and so it's because it's so loosely woven. So when I go to make a bias stem, which is what you need here, you need a bias for it to be able to curve like this. um, there's a ton of different tools you can use out there. There's like the Clover Tape Maker. There's Karen K. Buckley's tool that you can do it with. There's the metal rods. I went through all of this in the applique class if you want to go back and watch that. But let's start with two things. Number one, this can really stretch and get crazy easily with the bias tool maker. All right. If I were using that, I would put a lot, probably starch on it or something. Like I would like put starch on and scrunch it up in my hands and then put it through. But guess what? I can't find it. This place is trashed. I was lucky to find this fabric this morning. Okay. We're getting there. We're certainly getting there. But I called Barbara Black and I said, okay, how do I do this? And she told me, and I promptly forgot. So I called her a half hour ago and she saved me again. What I thought she said, and then I realized it wasn't what she was saying, was okay, if this thing finishes a half an inch, this stem, instinctively I would cut the bias strip 1 inch because you would have the half-inch side and then you could fold it in. Well, let me quit yakking about it and just show you, okay? You could, here's my 1 inch strip. I want a half-inch finished. And so then I started doing this morning. I'm like going, no, she said to cut it at 1.5. Now, why did she say that? What is she talking about? So my thought was to go like this morning before she set me straight. By the way, she's teaching this Friday. And then it was to go like this and go like this and then iron it. That's, excuse me, that's a lot of fiddle faddling. Let me put this down a little bit more. A way lot of fiddle faddling. In fact, I don't even know. I have it. I have this on a go and a footstool and all that kind of stuff. Way fiddle faddling. I could do it. And then I recalled that she said to me, cut it on, I got it, honey, thank you. Cut it on 1.5. And I'm like going, why in the world would she have me? I don't understand how this is going to work. And then I called her and I went, okay, now I know. So here is, sorry, I just hit this. Here is this strip that I already have a bias cut into it. If you are brand new to quilting, bias, you have the length of grain, which I believe is this, or maybe that's the cross grain. Okay, this is the length of grain, and I can tell because there's very little stretch. The cross grain, you get a little bit more stretch, and then the bias, you have crazy stretch, and that's what's going to help you go around all of the curves. So what Barbara said to do was to cut it at 1.5. And then when she's telling me this, I'm like going, oh gosh, yeah, I get it now. So to get it on a good bias, you want to pay attention to this part of your ruler that's got the degrees in it. And basically, you want to land this on a 45 degree. I got to switch it around this way. So that okay, 1.5. Gosh, rulers with half extra half inches make me nuts. At Quilter Select, we do it for you because some of you learned with an extra half an inch. I didn't, and meaning this is 1, 2.5. This goofs me up every time, but if you learned on a ruler that has an extra half inch, I know that it's different. So I've got this straight up here on the 45, all right? Then I'm going to take my cut. Okay, whoops, I got to keep going. I have a very limited space here. All right, keep going. Okay, then I'm going to cut another 1.5 inches. Go with Barbara's technique. Okay, you see here, 1.5. And this. And the part that you waste over here, you can save that and use that for your leaves and stuff. Now you got a couple options. You can make one big long strip, all right? And the way you do that is to get these two things going across like that. And then when you go to sew it, offset it. Offset it. Like a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch here. Stitch it. And then you've got miles and miles and miles of stuff, all right? You don't have to do that. You can also just, yeah, you need to do that, okay? And then press it in one direction, all right? Then let's pretend we have a big long thing. I store it like on a toilet paper roll, okay? So then what Barbara suggests, and she's right on the money, right on the money. I concur. I am going to iron and then iron. All right, so my iron's down here. Should not set this down on the mat for any long time. Make sure I'm in frame, of which I am. I'm coming up a 1/3. You might want to do a pop of steam, which I don't have any in here. And then I'm going to come over here just shy of this turned edge. Just shy. Because you don't want that raw edge hanging out in any way. I'm not pulling the fabric. It's staying nice and flat. And everything about it is fabulous. Then you can turn it over and do it again. Don't pull it, especially on this sort of soft woven. And what Barbara points out is that when you do the fiddle faddle one, like coming up this way and this way, if you do it wrong, you're either going to maybe have a space, which will show, or you will have an overlap, so you have a bump. So I really like this 1/3, 1/3, and a 1/3, and I think she's changed my life. All right? So that's how you prepare the vine. But now what? And again, I'm just sitting here realizing that I had you sew on these edges, and I wish I hadn't. What I did, let me backtrack. It doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. And every dance is different, right? What I did was, the reason I sewed it on my frame of mind was I wanted to be able to flop over in here to go off. Turns out, great, hope John gets that. Turns out what I did was I sewed on most of the vine, then I attached it, then I put the flowers on. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's, almonds or almonds. I mean, it's that sort of thing. But how do you get it on, okay? So let me get to my original plan for this quilt was to go all the way around, all right? So I had it on my design wall, and I don't think I had enough fabric to do the vines, okay? That's what it got down to. And that's one of those things where I could have gotten more fabric, and we did put an extra 1/2 yard in your kit. And then I always go, okay, that's completely predictable that it would go all the way around, right? And then I thought, well, what if I do this kind of asymmetrical thing that's going on behind me? Turn it that way. Why not? That's kind of really super cool. And then this would give, a place to have your quilting show and all that. And people are asking, how am I going to quilt it? I don't know. I'm going to give it to Diane Schweikert. Is what I'm going to do, because I think she could do some really awesome fills in there. Oh, look, I've got, it's either, it could be devil horns or cat ears. I'm cat ears. So I decided what can I do to make it different? And what's so fun in looking at your things in the forum, which I'm figuring out just like you guys, is that you are creative people and you're coming up with some really cool things. So what I did was this. For this, I get out my freezer paper, all right? And what I have to do is I have to actually kind of make a roadmap of where this stuff is going to be. And so what you've got going on here, and it's these are the pictures I have. So in the upper left-hand corner, you can see there's a 45-degree drawn line across the finished width of the border. Okay, you can see that. Those are the corners. That's the most important part, are those corners. And this is not a rocket science quarter inch. You have to do it this way or you will be sorry forever and ever. This is an art, and a pencil has two ends. It has an eraser, it has a lead, and you're going to do some fiddle faddling, okay? I don't know which one. I think I just did this. Yes. And then I did this. Yes. Okay, so I draw the finished size of the border to usually the middle. But in this case, I had, let me go back to this. I had drawn, whoops. Why isn't this going back on? Oh, because I got to get rid of that. Okay, I drew all the way over to here. I'm trying to stay here to the corner, and on the paper that it has an angle on it. And then I did another one down to here, and up here in the corner, the paper has an angle on it. All right, I'm creating my playground is what I'm doing. Then what I did was I took a yardstick, okay, and at the bottom of the paper, and at the top of the paper, I drew a line. That's the playground. That's where I'll be doing my vine border in. There, you can see how I'm drawing it. And how do I get those curves so they're halfway reasonable? I might make a template out of more freezer paper, maybe double layer, and then if I do say that swish that goes to the left, then I can repeat that swish going down to the right. Again, this is not an exact science at all. So there you've got, I guess the one, I think the bottom one is the top and the top one are the sides, I think, but you can see. And what happens then, like when you do a paper heart and you cut it out, when you put it together, you get this lovely swirl, all right? And if it's not lovely, get out that eraser and do it again. Okay. Then what I do is I take that paper, that's freezer paper, and I pin it on my wall. You can see, and you can see in the upper left-hand corner where the angle is. And I take my purple disappearing ink pen by Quilter Select, and let me see if I can just, you can see on the top, I have drawn that, all right? I've drawn the swooshy swoosh. The great thing about that pen, and I don't have one around me right here, I'm telling you, I can't find anything, is that you can iron on it, and it will not permanently set it like a blue disappearing ink pen, or the blue pens do. And it will eventually go away in a couple of days, and or you can erase it with the eraser side of that pen, okay? Now, this is where I led you astray. What I did then was, once I got the curves the way I want it, I placed down my vine, and I then went and stitched it into place, okay? So the border has not been sewn on yet, all right? I screwed you guys up, and I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. You'll still be okay. Promise me. I promise you. But down in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got scraggles, okay, of the stem there. And I will sew on those borders, and then once the borders are sewn on, Then I maneuver the corners and finish sewing the vine down. I don't worry about connecting them because you've got all these wonderful flowers and leaves that you can flop on the corner, like right up here. I can tell you right underneath there somewhere, there's two stems that were not sewn together. Okay? So what I would do today is I would, and actually you don't have to rush. Take your time on this. Please take your time. On Wednesday, I'm going to do my prepared applique that I've done 10,000 times, but I'm going to do it again in case you're new to this class. We always hope we have new students. And then I'm going to go away, and go to Door County, take care of Mom. On Friday, Barbara Black is going to be here, and for the BOM, right? And so then Saturday, D's off. What's going on with D is they're moving from Southern California up here to Northern California. And that's where I met her, up here in Northern California. I'm ever so excited. But then, okay, from my lips to God's ears, we all have to be flexible. And I'm going to tell you right now, you guys have been amazing. Dee will be starting in on Mendy Sloan's quilt pattern, okay? And this will be her Saturday sampler. I just love this. I love it beyond measure. And here are the notes that John gave me. It's called My Flower Garden by Mindy. And on Star memberships, we try and give you guys perks. Star memberships, we do give you perks, not try. We do. Again, my guess is most of you are stars because you see what we've been doing for you and you support us by, joining. On June 3rd, you'll have first shot at the kits, okay? And this is not going to be like spinning spools where we can keep getting more and more. This is a finite amount of kits. Then everyone else on June 5th can order. And then the class will start on June 12th, okay? From my lips to God's ears, seriously, there's things happen, and you know that, and you've been so kind and so generous and all that good stuff. Then that Monday, which is the 14th, June 14th, I'll be back, and I'll start in that again. Again, Barbara Black will be not babysitting, doing BOM. I don't know if John's going to try and sneak something in without me, but I'm MIA. Let's see. I'm seeing some questions here, and as soon as this is over, I'm gonna take that love seat to Savers and get rid of it with my neighbor. The quilt show. The quilt show, for someone who has never used a rotary cutter, would you recommend the one I'm using? Okay. Tessa, this is, if you've never used a rotary cutter, what I'm using is a super high-end rotary cutter, okay? It's by Quilters Select. It's weighted, it's expensive, it's a beautiful, beautiful tool. But if you've never rotary cut before and you're not even really sure if this is your sport, I would get myself probably an Olfa, okay? Way less expensive. It's a beautiful cutter, but this is like your VW, this is like your BMW, okay? And they're sharp, okay? They are sharp, and you've got to have a mat that goes with it. I gave my dad a rotary cutter once, and he said, I didn't know it was sharp. I mean, guys, this is a freaking rolling razor blade, okay? It's like I gave him a glue gun, a hot glue gun, and he burned his fingers. You didn't tell me it's hot. So John's bringing. Okay, threads for the vines. You've got two choices. You got, right back. Okay. In all, what did I, if you have this ring of thread by Quilters Select, it's 80 weight, I would choose a green and use it. But the truth of it is, I think this one I did all with monopoly, Quilter Select white or clear monopoly, because I didn't want to have, I had to get this thing finished and I did not want to get into all the thread changes. So if you're going to use a monopoly, make sure it's not a monofilament, a monopolyester. I can't show it. I can't show it to you because I don't know where it is. For those of you who are new here, I'm redoing my studio and we're starting to get back together, but oh man. Well, look, I mean, hey, at least it's, my guest bedroom's cleaned up now, you know. Oh, here's all this. I mean, and I can see my Q20, so that's good. When Bill gets done with the build-ins, that's when we'll be back in business. And then it'll be so clean, I won't be able to find anything anyways. Okay. 6 month of the BOM has been released. Yes, Carol, it has. And again, Barbara will be here on Friday. Let's see. When will we have cones of the 80 weight thread? Right, Diane? No kidding. I'll ask. I'm trying to think because I know we do have larger spools of the 60 weight. I love that red quilt, Carmen says. So do I. So do I. Did you use a green light thread on the stems? Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I'm doing applique now on my machine, I use my 80 weight. If I use a color, absolutely. You could go one step up and use silk, but I would not use I wouldn't even use my 60 weight on top or my 50 weight. I want it to disappear, especially as I don't know what I'm saying. I remember Grub Marson goes, who? She said, who? And then she goes, oh, who cares? No, when you're doing finished applique, that's an important part to put in there because it's so fine. You want it to look like hand applique. And some of you even asked, can I hand applique the spinning spools? Sure, I don't care. You know, if you're good at needle turn and you can do that, yay for you. I never mastered it. Somebody else said they put another stabilizer in their spools and it was kind of stiff and wanted to wash it before they carried on with the applique. Do not do that. Unless Barbara Black wants to contradict me, because I'll crawl on glass to hear what she has to say. If you wash a quilt top that is unfinished, it is going to fall apart on you. Because yes, when you go to quilt it, it's going to be awful, but it's the nature of the beast. You can do it. We're tough. We're quilters, okay? We run around with sharp objects like rotary cutters. Okie dokie. So yeah, it's a beautiful rotary cutter. Okay, so everybody's saying go ahead, get the Good Quilters Select rotary cutter. I'm going to say this. If you go to quilterselect.com, there's a ton of videos on how to open this, how to close this, and all that. But I just know if somebody's new to quilting, it's expensive. I mean, but it's so worth it. Needle for the 80 weight. I believe I used, oh wait. I use
needle for the 80 weight.
Needle for the 80 weight. I use a 70. I use something very, very fine because I use a bigger one, the thread will bounce around in it and it might shred it. The other thing is if you are working on a machine and you find that your thread is breaking, at the top, do two things. Number one, change your needle, okay? Make sure it's all cleaned out under the throat plate. But open up your tension just a little bit. It might be getting chewed up in there. My Bernina 765 is fine with the 80 weight, but I can't guarantee you it's going to be fine with yours. So no big deal just to open the tension, not at all. And John wants to run through. You like this.
One person saying, can I get the kit?
Oh no, you can't get, the kits are gone. That was our girls. We were buying retail to get you these kits, to put what with the leftovers we had. We were going to other sources and buying retail. It is called, the fabric is called Kaleidoscope by Andover. We sold a fat quarter bundle. I believe there were either 22 or 24. And then we threw in white fabric and then an extra half yard of green for the vine. But don't dismay. I had to put this together, my little sample last week. I used toolless fabric because I couldn't find the kaleidoscope in this mess. It's beautiful. If you go into the forum, you will see people doing it with different fabrics and get you some batiks, all sorts of stuff. It's super cool. Okay, never. Barbara goes, never wash an unfinished quilt top. Stamped. We got it. We got your back, people. Okay. I am an advocate for buying the best of whatever you can afford, but the quality really does matter. Hey, you guys, thank you so, so much. I appreciate it. So I'm going to go to Savers right now and dump some stuff off. Nobody took my couch. We ended up having about 4 nights in a row where we would grab different people and sit out there on the couch and wave to cars going by. Was pretty wonderful. So I'll see you Wednesday. We'll do a recap of finished applique. If you want to fuse, be my guest, but I'm going to show finished. And then off to Door County. I cannot wait. I can taste it. I love it so much. If you've never been there, Door County, Wisconsin, go Google it. It is honestly, I think, one of the best spots in the United States of America to go visit in the summer, right? Okay, check online with names you can get, but doesn't include the background. No, and the background's no big deal. And I think it was a 2¼ yards for the background. So thank you, Linda, for saying that. And it's just a beautiful white. I think it's Moda. I don't know. Just get yourself a white and you'll be fine.